In this video, I'm going to be talking about what I'm doing and not doing with my 1-year-old son that the internet says is wrong, but I feel are so right. Welcome to New Mom on the Block. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Lindsay Legister. Welcome to New Mom on the Block. This is the channel where I hope to support you in your flavor of motherhood. Today's video, the rights and wrongs of motherhood. I honestly don't even want to think about the time and energy that I've spent thinking about and dwelling on things that I could be doing right or wrong when it comes to raising and rearing my child, nurturing my child. It is crazy making. And I think it's crazy making these days in 2024, and forward, is because the internet, social media, our ability to get a peek into other people's lives and their approaches and hear from experts all the time on things that, aren't a one size fits all. So I just want to send you a big old hug because it's hard out there. It is hard not to compare your child to another child. It is hard not to try a million different things when it comes to feeding and sleeping and playing and developmental things. And I get it. I just became a mom to a 1-year-old, okay? 1 whole year of being a mom. A blip in the grand scheme of things, but it was the most intense, beautiful, rewarding year of my life. And I think what I'm realizing coming out the other side of the first year is that I can trust myself. And trusting myself, trusting my intuition as a mom is not always going to be the easiest for me. It is not always going to be the way that I feel like everyone is choosing, and it might not be what Google tells you is right. So there's that. But what I've realized and what I know now is that I have a unique connection to my unique child. And at this point, I know that I know best. And even if I don't know, I am going to intuitively try different approaches that feel good based on our connection, me and my child. I'm not going to rely on the internet to tell me what approaches to make based on one child over here in La La Land. I am going to trust my connection with my child and then move from there. So I want to share a bunch of things I'm doing and not doing right now that the internet tells me is wrong, that mom groups are telling me is wrong, that certain motherhood experts tell me is wrong, but I feel are so right for my child. And my intention in sharing these is to just give you permission to own your decisions that you have made from your gut, from your intuition, because you know best, mama. You do. Okay, so what have I been doing and not doing? First is related to sleep. It's a biggie. I want to say a lot about sleep right now. My son, as I mentioned, is 1 year old. 1 year or 1 year? 1 year old. He is 1 year old. I was 36 years old when I figured out it is 1 year old. Okay. And I can count on a few hands how many times he slept through the night. There was a period around 3 months, I'd say 2.5 months to 4 months where he was doing great, quote, quote, sleeping through the night as they do at that age. Then the 4-month progression hit. It was gnarly from that point on, gnarly for me. And he slept through the night July 18th. I remember it like it was yesterday. And lately he has been trending in the direction of sleeping for longer periods of time, being able to soothe himself, but I have not sleep trained. It's just not my flavor of motherhood. It could be yours, and I love that for you, and I know that you are trusting your connection with your child to know that it is right for you, but for me it is not. And why it's not is that I have observed my son, and I know that at this point for him, he's been on earth for 1 year. That's it. That soothing him to sleep is the best method for him. It ensures that his nervous system is really calm, that he's happy and gooey and juicy and warm and just feeling loved when he goes to sleep. The challenge that we've had thus far is that he'll have multiple wakings in the night. That is partly because of teething. That is partly because he is still breastfeeding and is used to having the boob multiple times in the night. And there's also developmental milestones happening, which disrupt sleep as well. What's been happening though, as I've kind of surrendered and not been so fixated on fixing the sleep thing, he has been sleeping for longer periods of time. And without sleep training, he has also been able to soothe himself in the middle of the night when he wakes up. I hear him wake and hear him stir. And by the time I'm like getting myself together to go in to soothe him, he has already soothed himself. So this for me is trending in the right direction, but it's been really challenging not to feed into what I should be doing when it comes to sleep. Because mama loves her sleep, and it's been really difficult not to get more than, I'd say, like 5 hours a night on average. But I know that this is what my child needs, and I've just had to remind myself on a regular basis that this period of time where I'm soothing him to sleep, or even soothing him in the middle of the night if he accelerates into a really dysregulated state, that this is a blip in time. This is a blip in the grand scheme of things. And so I can do this. I can provide this for my child, and my hope and intention, and also like really deep knowing, is that my approach for him, knowing that this is what he needs, is going to help him feel really comfortable going to sleep on his own eventually, to feel really secure and really safe and really regulated in his nervous system when he goes to sleep. So that is what I know deeply. Is it easy? No. It's the more difficult choice, I will be honest, but I know it's right for us. So that is the piece of the sleep experience that, you know, the internet says you should sleep train, you should put them down awake, you should stop feeding them to sleep, etc. It just doesn't work for us. So there's that. The other part of sleep, I still provide pacifiers in the crib at nighttime. So generally, I will feed him about 30 minutes before he goes to bed, between breast milk and goat's milk right now. I'll mix the two, or I'll do one or the other. And then as we kind of settle down even more, maybe we'll read a story. I put on a bedtime song that he loves, and he just rests on my chest. Sometimes he'll take the pacifier, and that will soothe him as well. And our pediatrician told me at the last visit, no more pacifier. At 1 year, no more. We're done, get rid of it. And I said, okay, doctor. And then I just was like, this is not for me. I understand the ramifications of having a pacifier for too long on the development of the soft palate and the teeth and all of that. I get that, but the research that I've done, you know, you could have it for a couple years and it'd be okay. What I've noticed about my child is that he is trending in the direction of not really wanting or needing the pacifier, only at certain points. And right now it's only at night when he goes to bed, and even when he's fallen asleep, he pops it out of his mouth. What's great is that in the middle of the night, when he stirs and wakes, he generally will search for the pacifier and pop it in his mouth. And then he goes back to sleep, which helps us both. So the pacifier thing, I am trusting the timing of it. I'm really trusting him too, to kind of like tell me when he's ready to move on from it. And in the grand scheme of things, you know, friggin' 8th graders aren't walking around with pacifiers. You know what I mean? Those two things in regards to sleep, I'm doing kind of the opposite of what the majority, I think, tells us to do. Why I think sleep is such a difficult thing to trust yourself on is because if it's a challenge, you are most likely sleep deprived. And when we're sleep deprived, it is hard to make decisions. I found myself wavering back and forth, back and forth. Okay, we should sleep train. Okay, we should not. Okay, we should do responsive sleep training and gentle sleep training. And I was going freaking nuts. Like every day I would change my mind because I was so tired and frustrated, but I also didn't want to like go against my intuition when it came to this approach. So just know that that's happening if you are sleep deprived. It just adds a whole complicated layer. See if you can find a little bit of time to yourself to get quiet and really tune into what is best for you and your child, and then move from there. And again, it might not be the easiest decision. It might create more discomfort for the time being for you, but you know it's best for your child. part of motherhood, you know? The next thing I'm doing that the internet says I probably shouldn't is carrying him around in the carrier. So I have a carrier, a baby Bjorn carrier that's for, you know, a heavier child. It's not the newborn carrier is what I want to say. And on our morning walks before he takes his first nap, I like to take him out to get outside. We'll go to the park. I'll let him out of the carrier and he, you know, crawls around and gets some fresh air. We go on the swings. But I love to carry him in this carrier. I face him out. He looks like a big toddler baby in it. It might look a little awkward to many, but I still feel comfortable with it. You know, physically, my back and everything can handle it. And he's super comfy and loves it, loves to look at the birds and the trees and say hi to people. So even though this is definitely something that I feel like won't last too much longer, I'm good with it. And I really feel like he enjoys it. So I'm keeping him in the carrier, especially while he's like not fully walking yet. I think it's a nice way to like get outside, not be in the stroller, but be in the carrier, be able to like just detach him and let him crawl on things quite easily. So that's my thing. Next thing I'm not doing that the internet suggests I do, or at least what I see most people doing out there. And I'm like, should I be doing that? I don't really put shoes on him. There are moments where we put on shoes if he's in a place that is like extra gross and dirty. Sometimes the playgrounds are a little gnarly, especially here in the city. So I'll put shoes on him then, shoes with a wide toe box, something that's like more of a comfortable sock fit. But generally, I just love that he's barefoot most of the time. So his little feet can feel the texture of things and really grip the ground. And developmentally, from my research, it is amazing if you can have them barefoot as much as possible. I think shoes look cute. They can complete outfits. I think that, you know, when a baby is starting to walk, you might feel like they need shoes in order to like walk properly. But for me, and what I know of Mav is that he is very active. He's moving and grooving all around. And I really want him to have a felt sense of the ground beneath him and balance and all of these things with his bare feet. Is he going to be more awkward in shoes when we put him on them? Maybe. I don't really care though. So that's my choice. This is what I'm picking up too from Mav is that, you know, he prefers to be barefoot. He like takes socks off. He just takes things off. He likes to be barefoot. So I'm rocking it as long as we can. So that's another one. Okay, another thing that I'm doing that I feel like, you know, my pediatrician or the internet or what the majority of people are doing, I am breastfeeding him still morning and night. So when he gets up in the morning, he comes in bed with me and we just have a good old time. We have a little milk. We just have our connection time before he does a little independent play. And then also at night at bed, I do feed him goat milk at night. Goat milk? Goat? What? Goat milk? It's good on his tummy. He really likes it. But then I'll like top him off with a little breast milk. And sometimes if he wakes in the middle of the night, I'll give him a little breast milk. So I had planned to wean like right at a year. I don't think it's average. Yeah, I don't think that's average, but what I want to say is a lot of people feel like they have to. I didn't feel like I had to, but I was just feeling called to start to wean at a year, and it's just going slower than I had planned, and I'm okay with that. I notice about myself, I want things to happen like right now. I'm a little impatient, noticing that as a parent. I'm just allowing it to be a bit more transitional and slower and smoother, especially for him. My pediatrician did have a great recommendation the other day, and he was like, change one thing at a time. Me, I'm like, let's change this. Let's put him in a new cup. Let's take away this. Let's do this. No, one thing at a time. It's a lot for them to metabolize change. So change one thing at a time, maybe one thing per week. So yes, I am still breastfeeding when I am filming this video. I'm not sure where I will be when I release this. I plan to release it soon after, but it's good for us. And I know that it is incredibly comforting for him. I notice when I put him on the boob, his whole body just relaxes right away, and there's nothing like it. So I am blessed to be able to breastfeed still. I do plan on weaning. That I'm in the process now, but it's just slower than I had planned. So yes, I'm still breastfeeding morning and night, sometimes in the middle of the night. The last thing I'll say on that is that the middle of the night breastfeeding, I have begun to wean and offer him other forms of comfort, because I know that he has a full belly when he goes to bed, and he's just taking it as a soothing mechanism, which is not bad, But Mama wakes up really tired and like a desert. And so for me, and for him, it's great if we can find a way to soothe. So I have been singing to him, rocking him, and just being patient because he eventually does soothe and go back to sleep. Okay, last thing is related to solid foods. I am the type of mom that in the beginning, when we introduced salads, I was pretty gung-ho. I was like, let's friggin' do it. Let's give him a lamb shank to gnaw on. And I did do that. And then as we went along, I kind of slowed down a little bit. And the reason being, I have a fear that he's going to choke. I think a lot of parents have this fear. I think a lot of parents do not talk about it. I think baby-led weaning is such a trendy thing now. I'm not against it whatsoever. I feel like my approach is a combo of baby-led weaning and just a slower texture, size, all the things introduction. I started with purees and pieces of food, big pieces of food that I know or knew wouldn't rip off. That gave me comfort to know that he wouldn't choke. I'm just not the type to sit there and pray that he doesn't choke on something. I need to be assured that it is not going to break off into a piece that is going to block his airway or esophagus. So that's me. As of now, at a year, I feel like I've introduced a lot of different textures and tastes and things. However, I am still playing it really safe, I think. So the size of his food might be really small. Things like eggs and soft, flaky fish, I'm fine giving him pieces that he can kind of break down in his mouth. It just depends on the texture. I don't trust to give him like a chicken nugget that has kind of like a rubbery type of texture. I don't trust that he's going to break it all down and swallow it properly. I'm just not there yet. I could be wrong. I don't know. But what I do know is that all kids get there. All kids get to the point where they're having normal size food, all different textures, all different tastes. They are actually using utensils or they're using their hands, whatever. It's been progressing in a way that feels good to him, to me, and I'm actually okay that I have this fear of choking. I would rather be safe than sorry, personally. I'm also just noticing what he can handle based on how many teeth he has. I know the information out there is, it doesn't matter. The gums are strong enough. Teeth aren't an indication. My intuition tells me otherwise. I'm not saying that's right, but that's just what it's telling me. So I am taking it slow. We're introducing new things every week. And he's really showing me over time, like he can handle a lot more than my fear says. And so it's cool when I notice that and then I can incorporate more and more. It's a struggle that I think a lot of parents go through, but at the end of the day, we're all gonna get there. It's gonna be okay. They're gonna be normal eaters and be able to eat by themselves at a restaurant and order food and take it down. Another thing that I am not doing, and it is such a controversial topic, I'm going to be brief, but I did want to share this. I debated whether to share it or not, but I do think it's important. We are taking an alternative schedule / approach to immunizations. And this is probably one of the most strong, intuitive feelings that I've had as a parent related to giving my child any immunizations this early. I am trusting my intuition, trusting my connection with my child as we navigate this. I don't know exactly what a year down the line looks like, or 2 years, or 3 years, or 4 years, or 5 years. But what I do know now is that we are very clear on delaying those. So I just wanted to share that. This is something that I talk about with people in my DMs because it's not something people feel necessarily comfortable talking about in public. I don't necessarily feel it's necessary for me to talk about this publicly ad nauseum and make it like a huge part of what I talk about. This is our choice as parents, just based on my research and again, intuitively how I feel about this. It is the best choice for us, and it is not the easy choice. I will say that. We have had to find a pediatrician that supports this decision, and it is very hard to come by where we live. So we've found one, thankfully, but it was not easy. So I just wanted to share, you're taking an alternative approach to that. It's interesting that I even have to say alternative approach, but that's just what it is. I'll include some resources that I have used as I make these decisions in the description so you can check those out. Screen time, let's talk about it. I don't give Mav any iPads, tablets, or phones ever, unless we are FaceTiming with family members. He doesn't hold it, but he's obviously seeing someone on the screen. So that is when he is interacting with a phone screen. Otherwise, I do not give it to him. Why? For me personally, I see how crazy he gets when he has a phone in his hand. Like if I take it away, he is unwell. I'm like, what is happening here? And we don't even give it to him that often, like at all. So the fact that like instantly he's like hooked on it, I don't like. But what we do, I would say right now, maybe once or twice a week. And just because I feel like we're kind of out and about and outside and playing and doing other things otherwise, is I'll put on like an Animal Planet or a nature show, something that's really calm, really slow moving. He loves animals. He loves seeing pups. So I put that on while he's independent playing sometimes in the living room. And honestly, he's like barely watching it, but he'll look up every once in a while and note. So I put that on because it gives me a moment to do what mommy's got to do, say in the kitchen or cleaning up around the house. But I also do love that he's like seeing animals and things in nature and trees and water. And I might bring in some other like kid-friendly TV choices soon that are calming. I think I might go back to like my childhood, see what I was watching, because I think those were so much better than what they have now. But we incorporate a little bit of TV in the week. And honestly, if Sean's watching football, Matt's watching football too. Okay, so that's what it is. But you know, people talk about screen time. I truly believe any like iPad, phone stuff, I've seen it affect my child in the very little that he's had exposure to. And so I just don't want to know what it looks like if I'm giving it to him on a daily basis, giving it to him to soothe. And yeah, it's just not for us. But I see why parents do it. So do what's best for you. There you have it. A bunch of things that I'm doing and not doing that the internet says is wrong, but I feel it right. So I wanted to actually share, to close out this video, a bunch of things that you all are doing or not doing that the internet says is wrong, but you feel are right. I asked this question on my Instagram account and you were amazing and gave me some answers. So here they are to close out this episode. You are not alone. I love y'all very much. Thank you so much for being here, for subscribing to New Mom on the Block. I appreciate you, and we'll see you on the next episode every single Tuesday. Bye.